give that vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Struggling.
That's the booze of the Golden One Center, and much deserved booze, may I say. I've talked to many people really dialed in and tuned in to this team, around this team over the past couple of weeks. I've talked to a couple of people today about this team, and the one thing that I can take away from those conversations that I can share is there isn't one answer. There isn't a singular answer. There is a lot going on in Kingsland, and it is going the wrong way. How you lose these 4 games in a row on your home court, the way you lost them, and what people aren't looking at is it was a progression. Mike Brown talked about after last game, last night, the guys hanging their heads. Will you lose in your home opener here in Sacktown? And that kind of took the wind out of it, right? But okay, we're going to bounce back. We're going to bounce back. You lose to the Lakers in the first one, and slowly the heads got hanging a little bit lower and a little bit lower. Mike Brown gives a 2 or 3 minute answer about everything that went wrong in that first Lakers game, and the Kings come out in the second Lakers game and do all of the exact same things that Mike Brown mentioned within the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes of said game. So you move on to yesterday. Quick turnaround, third game, 4 days. And what happens? Second half, this team quits. They quit. Body language was there. Now, play, it's really hard to tell. And I talked to a few people about this. It's hard to tell play-wise if you quit. But mentally, they quit yesterday. Grant said it perfectly. He said it so well. You all deserve so much better. It's not a cheap ticket to go to these games. It's Christmas time. It's the holiday time. A lot of present exchanges. It's not cheap to buy that merch. You deserve a better product. So, this is our last Kings Court before the Christmas holiday. And first off, thank you all for being here. So happy to have you here, number one. It's our last Kings Court. We as Kings fans, we stick together. We get through it. We've been through bad times. We've been through hard times. We've been through great times. The one constant, we stick through it. So let's have a great show today. Let's get your input. Get in here. You can call the show 916-822-9485. You can call through Restream. The QR code is on the screen. Also in the chat, we're going to have some fun too. There's a lot more going on besides the Kings. The passing of Ricky Henderson. Absolutely out of nowhere. 65 years old. If you're my age, you grew up on Ricky Henderson. The college football playoff. Ton of stuff going on there. So, Kings fans, here's what we need to do.
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've gone too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
Let's keep our composure. Let's have a fun show. Let's get into it. Might not be pretty, but let's have a good time doing it. Thanks for being here. Court is in session on If You Don't Like That.
Grant and Ryan break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the time to
Williams, the D-line.
Bucks. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that.
And welcome back in. My on-air sign went out. We'll have to fix that during a soundbite here in a little bit. But welcome back in. Happy holidays. Hope you're having a great one. Maybe it's your last day of work before tomorrow. Maybe you're off work. Maybe you are on vacation already. Whatever it may be, thanks for being here. Thank you for letting me into your homes, into your offices, into your ears. It is not lost upon me and Grant. And thank you so much, by the way, for the patronage of this channel. Last night, I put out a post. It was pretty cool. NBC Sports California put out their post game on YouTube, and they put it out an hour before ours. They had 400 and some views. We had 1.9. I think it's almost at 3,000 right now. And that was 3 hours after the game. And that is because of all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so appreciated. Looking forward to digging in to this Kings mess with all of you. We'll talk about what we think some fixes could be. We can talk about what we think some of the biggest problems are. We can talk about the Fox situation. We can talk about Coach Brown. We can talk about the direction of this team. Look, coming into this season, I've been one of those people saying this Fox decision is coming up sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, it's taken a streak of basketball, 31 games through this season, 30 or 31 games, to get to where we are at now. And ironically enough, 30 games we are through, the Kings still have a positive net rating at 1.2. So the first question I'll ask you, is this rock bottom for the Kings? Where are you at? Where is everybody at with this team? I get you're frustrated. We heard it yesterday, and well-deserved yesterday. Were you at the game? I want to hear from you if you were at the game. I want to hear from all of you. So we're going to dive into it. We've got audio from Coach Brown. We've got audio from Malik. We've got audio from Domas. I'll share my thoughts. I'll share my ideas on what changes might work for this team. One stat that I shared, though, yesterday to start the pregame or the postgame show, and I think it's an important stat. I mentioned the net rating for a reason. The Kings, and let's go to the Western Conference. Let me pull up the West where you can see where the Kings are at, because the Kings are outside of the play-in. So the net rating for this team is still positive 1.2. Positive 1.2. Now, let me hit you with this. The Kings are a negative 0.9. Negative 0.9 in the net rating category in the first quarter. We know this Kings team is thin on the bench. Something that's been talked about the entire season. And yes, they've dealt with injuries, just as other teams have dealt with a ton of injuries this year. But the one thing that we've kind of held on to, is 1 through 7. This team is actually pretty talented, or at least we thought they were pretty talented. Our starting lineup, it's a damn good starting lineup. And in fact, in the last 9-10 games, it's the starting lineup that everybody has been clamoring for since Malik Monk has come to Sacramento. So explain to me how the Kings for the season in the first quarter are a negative 0.9 in the net rating category. If you look at net ratings within the top 10 of the NBA, let's hit that really quick. You've got two teams, specifically the Lakers, who just knocked you off for 2. They're at 6 in the West right now. They're a negative 2.6. San Antonio, a negative 0.9. Yet the Kings at 13-17 with a home record of 6-11 are still positive. So does that give us some hope? Is it like, man, this is just a bad stretch. It's good to get it out of your system early. Now, if that's the case, you have got a ton of work to do because the easiest part of the schedule is done. Forget about it. Gone. It ends after you play Detroit the day after Christmas. It's a wrap. Schedule is brutal after that. But what I'm saying is this team can't be as bad. They can't be as bad as they are showing right now. And I know they have been in a ton of close games. I know that they are one of the worst teams, I believe the worst in the NBA in close games. There's only one team worse than them, but the Kings have been in more close games. But that negative 0.9 net rating in the first quarter, which is on your starters, your best five predominantly, the teams that have lower net ratings in the first quarter, let me read them off to you. The Heat, the Warriors, the Pistons, the Hawks, the Bulls, the Jazz, the Pelicans, the Hornets, the Spurs, the Raptors, the Wizards, and the Blazers. Those are all teams, sans the Spurs, sans the Heat, sans the Warriors, that are likely to be in the lottery when this season ends. So give me your thoughts on that. Again, we have got a lot to get to. I want to check all of you out in the chat. Thanks for being here again, Ryan in Sacktown with you. Don't forget, Grant is going to be doing his show, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock today, open forum. That's going to be a lot of fun as always. Probably the last time that we will both, I'm not going to be with him for that one, but you got me now with the King's Court. Last time we're going to be on before Christmas. So Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful couple of days and a great end to 2024. So let's get to the chat. I am curious what's going to be in here. I have not looked yet. What am I walking into? What am I walking into? And again, want to hear from you today. If you want to call the show, 916-822-9485. You know, it's the small things in life. It's the little victories. That was just a little victory. Because every time I give out the number, I call it the Al hotline, I know I'm about this close to giving out my cell phone number accidentally, but it's not going to be today. I gave out the right number, 916-822-9485. I'm going to go straight from the top. Dave, let's not candy coat it. We suck. Changes need to be made immediately. Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray are not pulling their weight in the scoring department. DeRozan's nice, but he's not the answer. Dennis, my man Dennis, this dude's a wild man. I don't know that I've seen a more passionate Kings fan than Dennis. 1972-73 Philadelphia 76ers, despite having one of the worst records in the NBA history with a 9-73 record, they did manage a 3-game winning streak. Well, that's what the Kings' MO has been. They go on a 4-game winning streak, a 3-game winning streak, and then they lose 4. Just up and down. Last year, I used the analogy that this team was a wooden roller coaster. It's much bumpier than that this year. They are far worse than a wooden roller coaster. They are one of those portable roller coasters that you ride at the county fair or the state fair. They are not even a roller coaster that is built to the ground. Dennis hopping back in, 2011-2012 Charlotte Bobcats holding the record for the worst winning percentage. Okay, look. Not going to happen. The Kings are going to hit their stride at some point. Let's just get this out of the way. This team is not going to tank. This team is not going to be 5-25 in their next 30, like New Orleans has been in their first 30. That's not happening. But as we sit today, this team is going to be up and down, up and down. They're going to look great, and then they're going to look awful, just like they did last night, until something changes. And again, I'll share my thoughts on some of the conversations that I've had and my personal thoughts. I've gone back and watched all of these games. I went back and watched the last 3 games over, and I'll let you know what I'm thinking. Dennis giving us some more NBA history. Kings have an estimated 6% chance of making the playoffs. Okay, well, teams, Dennis, have a 99.9% chance of winning or of winning a game all the time in the NFL these days with these different winning predictors and whatever it is. And they don't work out. The other team comes back. I can't put too much into it. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I gotta acknowledge Dennis, man.
Acknowledge me.
You know what, Dennis? Dennis, I got something just for you. Okay. I queued something up just for you, Dennis. This is from you to me.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
That's from you or from me to you, Dennis. Merry Christmas, my friend. You are a
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
passionate King's animal, man. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Let's see. Progressive, what's up? How you doing? Progressive has been yelling this from the rooftops for like the last 18 months. The Kings need a center. We need to stop shooting. Okay, need to stop shooting, overshooting threes. Interesting take. I'll give you my thoughts on that. We need to play offense at the rim. Protect the rim. The Kings have protected the rim decently this year. Look at the Kings stats. Uh-oh. It's the Owl Hotline. We're going to it. Progressive, back to your thought in a second. To the phones. Welcome in. You're on the Kings Court with Rhino.
Yeah, me, Guru, Zach, Rhino.
What's up, Guru? Dude, I got it really quick. I got to thank you again, bro. For those that don't know, the show crashed on this end this weekend, and Zach held it down was it the second Lakers game? I think.
Yeah.
So,
Saturday.
Thanks, brother. Good job.
No, I appreciate it. That was a fun time. I want to talk about the game yesterday. I was at the game yesterday.
Oh, okay.
First game of the year for me at the Golden One Center, and the Boo Birds were well deserved. They were absolutely well deserved. I thought there was about three times that the Boo Birds came out. One on a quick run that the Pacers had where Kings were down 6 or 8, and then it went to like 13-15, and Mike Brown called a quick timeout. That was one. And then there was another in the fourth, and then there's one at the very, very end. And I just think the Kings kind of quit. I think they absolutely quit in that game.
You're spot on. Mike Brown talked about them hanging their heads. It was pretty clear when you know what? Indiana could have had the professor. They could have had hot sauce. They could have had Skip to My Lou out there, because that's what it looked like. It looked like a freaking and one mixtape versus the local talent in the last like 8 minutes of the game. When you have an NBA player throw the fucking basketball off the backboard to himself, and not like right there like Sabonis does it once in a while. I mean, you literally like just pass it hardcore right to yourself and then kick it to the corner where there's not a king. It's like the one place that they have been killed this year, the corners, and the guy drains the three. My gosh, dude.
That was embarrassing. That was disgusting. Honestly, I saw that play live, and it wasn't even like, it's not even a starter. I think I don't remember the actual player that was.
That's right. It was a bench guy.
It was a bench guy, and he just did it, gave it, and I just saw the entire Indiana Pacers bench there. They were all standing the entire end of the fourth quarter, to be honest. Once the starters came out, they were all standing up. They were clowning us. I'm surprised none of the Kings did anything about it. They just got, I mean, fourth straight home loss. The Kings, it's Christmas time. A lot of people are here that were at the game, and the game was to me, I thought it was a pretty packed house. It was a good showing. and that made it more even disappointing to how the Kings performed yesterday. You can't. I mean, the flow of the offense was ugly in the first half. I didn't feel great about it when it was tied up at halftime, and once the shots didn't start falling, they just like everyone was saying, they just gave up. But yeah, that moment when the guy threw the ball off the backboard, wide open 3-pointer, just getting clowned like that at home was really embarrassing.
Let me give you some numbers really quick from the fourth quarter. And I get the starters were pulled with about 5:25 left.
Yep.
The Kings shot 25% from the field, 27% from the 3-point line. They only shot 2 free throws. Disaster. -18 in that quarter. And I know it started in
Not
the
one
third,
player
but
played well.
yeah, it was not. That's the one thing that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable in any sport, but if you want to pour salt and vinegar into a wound for a Kings fan, you don't hustle. You don't care. You give up. You do that, this fan base will turn on you like that. There is, and Grant hit this before that game even happened, but that's what it was like. And I want to ask you this. What was the temperature in the building before the game? Was there excitement? Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought coming into the game, there was a decent amount of excitement. I thought it was an earlier game, no work during, it was a Sunday. So I think people came on time for the most part. Usually a 7 o'clock game, you get there's still a decent amount of seats. People are coming in after work, after dinner, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a 3 o'clock game, people are ready to go, and it was a decently packed house. Still empty seats here and there, but it was a pretty good showing, and from the get go, and first quarter, and yeah, there was excitement to answer your question. I mean, I thought I was excited to see Fox versus Tyrese. I think there was a good, people are excited to see Tyrese come back, stuff like that. He got a little bit of applause during the warm ups, slight applause, and it was just that was there was. During the game, there wasn't anything to cheer about. There wasn't any probably the biggest play of the whole game was Monk making that shot at the end of the second quarter, and that was probably the most exciting part of the whole game.
Damn. What was the energy? I'm going to ask you one more question. I'll cut you loose. What was the energy leaving?
That I was shocked. There was a lot of silence around where I was sitting near the end of the game. People were stunned. Like I said, the Boo Birds came out a bunch of times, especially at the end. The people that stayed till the end, there's a lot of Boo Birds. I know Malik Monk doesn't like the Boo Birds. He always says it when it happens, but that was well deserved. And these players always try to say the right things after the game. I know Monk was trying to say he's going to try to talk to the players, stuff like that, and he's been through worse in Charlotte and stuff like that. Don't really like those talking points by him, but they got to feel a little bit of the pressure. I mean, you can't just lose 3 straight like that with the Lakers twice and then the fourth one like just the way they did. I mean, Pacers aren't. They're not a top Eastern team. They're an 8th, 9th team. Well, a couple games 500.
They had won 3 in a row coming into it, and they had the exact same record as the Kings coming into this game.
Yep.
So, hey, Zach, appreciate the call. Thanks for kicking us off, brother.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Hey, Zach, you still there?
Yes.
Merry Christmas,
yes, sir.
brother. Have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas
if I don't
right
talk
now.
to you. All right, buddy.
Have a great holiday.
Good job by Zach kicking us off again. You can call 916-822-9485. Dave, my man, the merch has been out, dude. Maybe we've just been ships passing in the night, but there is new merch up. Go to grantnapier.com if you don't like that.com. Click shop, and it will have the link to take you to our merchandise shop. We have a third party handling it, so That way, there's no issues. It's out of our hands, but the merch is up. A lot of people have been eating it up. If there's something you would like to see in the merch shop, let us know. We can probably swing that, but the merch has been out since damn near the start of the season, Dave. So, and we've got 6 or 7 different new designs this year. So, yeah, go get out there, Dave. Let us know. Something you want specifically, hit us up. You can hit me up on email or on X, rhinoandsacktown@gmail.com, or my X handle right there on the screen at Ryan_in_Sacktown. Got a cute guy here. Thinks he's funny, huh? Look at Portland fan coming in to rub it in on us here in Sacramento. Really? Horse, you get a segment on that show or on this show, and that's what you do?
Excuse me, folks. Sometimes I get a little carried away myself, and
You're getting a little carried away, my man. Come on. Just kidding. Love you. Yeah, I didn't listen to Rome's entire show. I'm sure that came up with Sam Amick. I would almost guarantee it came up with Sam Amick, and Bill actually does cover the NBA for CBS Sports, so he's fairly plugged in to what's going on. Dry rain. How is that possible? Let DeMar, Sabonis, and Malik work? Do you mean walk? Do you mean work or walk? Need some clarification there. Work or walk? Which one is it that you mean? Trade the entire team for Wembanyama? No. I don't think so. Ton of comments. Gonna keep getting to them. Keep them coming. Thank you for being here. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys to call, guys and gals, to call as well. Last King's Court before Christmas. Grant's back here at 4 o'clock with open forum. Let's listen to some audio from last night, and I will start to get to my thoughts as we listen to the audio, because Zach mentioned that Malik Monk talked about the fans booing, talked about stepping up and talking with the guys. Here's the thing. It's been all words, no action this year. All words and no action from this team. Now, pay attention to what everybody says here, because it's going to matter with my take on what we heard last night. Let's start, since Zach mentioned it, with Malik Monk.
Reaction coming off the floor there is just about as low as it's felt all season.
Low? Nah, I'm not low. I was just reacting to the crowd booing us. Yeah, that's about it, though.
I know that doesn't sit well with you.
Yeah, I don't like it. We'll be all right, though.
Can you blame it?
Nah, we got to play better.
But, yeah, I mean, how do you explain just that second half?
We just let off the gas. I feel like we didn't do what we were doing in the first half, which was moving the ball. I feel like the ball got stuck, and we lost about 30.
It's wild to look at this start of the season and realize that you guys have the same amount of wins on the home floor as the Wizards.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I didn't even think about that till you said it. I wish you would have kept it to yourself.
Sorry about that.
Has there ever been a time that, you've been in a situation where you've been on a team that lose this many games at home?
I done lost 20 games in a row. I've been in Charlotte. So this not nothing. This not nothing. I'm always positive, especially since me coming from Charlotte, having 4 losing seasons. So yeah, this nothing new to me. I'm not hanging my head. I'm coming here happy, smiling like I always do, and just trying to encourage the guys more.
That's usually contagious for a locker room. I mean, do you feel like that is being reciprocated?
Yeah, I feel like I got to do a little bit more. I feel like I've been relaxing a little bit. So I think I'm going to step up a little bit more, talk to the guys, comfort the guys a little bit more.
Malik, what's got to change? Is it coaching staff? Is it players? Is it just
That ain't my
style?
job, man. That ain't my job to think about that.
That ain't my job to think about that. Also, pay attention to the tone with these guys. Upbeat, down, the differences. I think that is important because every player is different, the way they handle these things. But as a team, they should be coming together and saying the same things, doing, more importantly, the same things. Back to the phones. Let's go. Oh, he dropped off. Jay, get back in here. We'll bring you up. Let's go to Demonis Sabonis. He also spoke, and I want to give credit to Sean Cunningham of Fox 40 Kings Beat podcast. Great guy. Know him. This video is courtesy of Sean Cunningham. Here's Demonis Sabonis.
You know, it definitely feels tough. You know, I feel like these last 3 games our defense has been good until the end. You know, and you know it's just exhausting when you're playing good D, but you can't score, and then eventually the other team scores, and just the cycle.
Kevin mentioned, you know, kind of the ball slowing down at times. How much do you feel that while you're out there, and how can it be improved, I guess?
We just got trust in each other, trust in our teammates. You know, in that first half we moved the ball a bit better. Everyone touched the paint, kicked the ball out, kept getting better shots. You know, obviously we didn't shoot well, so that kind of hurts. But yeah, if we just gotta keep moving the ball.
And you got a lot of shots up tonight. Did you come into the night with that sort of mindset or game plan?
No, just be aggressive. You know, a lot of them were tip-ins and getting my own rebounds. So.
Gotcha.
How do you feel you guys can, digest this, internalize it? You've got some days off before the next game, a day away from each other perhaps. Is there a way to have tough conversations and look at something in the mirror kind of moments?
We just got to work. We've dug ourselves in a pretty bad hole right now, and everyone just got to come in and work. You know, watch film, come in, lift, shoot, do whatever you got to do to get everyone's confidence back.
When you popped up in the injury report earlier today, did you think you'd end up playing 31.5 minutes tonight?
I did not. Yeah, you know, we're at this point where I can't really rest. You know, even if it's hurting, you know, we gotta try and win games. And
isn't that interesting? He didn't expect to play 31 plus minutes. Really interesting comment there from Domas. Found that interesting. And remember, he tweaked his ankle the game before. Quick turnaround, 3 games in 4 nights. Back to the chat. We'll continue breaking it, down as we go. A lot of talk about trading Fox. Jose, what is this talk show about? What's the talk show about? It's about the Kings. It's about sports. It's about Sacramento. It's about this community that we have built around this show. It's a fun community. It's one of the coolest things. It's the reason I do it, is to see all of you start building relationships together. We all know each other's personalities. People have brands on this show. I see it in the chat. I saw it last night. By the way, y'all need to lay off Baki a little bit, please. Can we give Baki some grace? Dude is calling in from Serbia. Let's give him some grace. I saw the stuff. Maybe you can upgrade him from 480p. I know we're being lighthearted and joking, but last night in the chat, I felt like that turned a little bit, and I'm going to stand up for my dude. That's one thing this community does not put up with. It's people trolling legitimately. You want to have a little sarcasm, you want to have a little fun, let's do it. But when you're legitimately trolling, yeah. So this show's about a lot of stuff, Jose, centered around the Kings during the season, but we hit just about everything. Just about everything. Let's kick it back to the phones. We got a lot of calls. Love it. Let's go to Mr. Moss. Mr. Moss, what's up? Merry Christmas, buddy.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you and your family too. I like what you said at the end there. You know, podcast etiquette in the chat. You know, that's important because you want to build your fan base, and you know, guys come on here to get a good dose of sports talk. And so I'm glad you mentioned that because I see that a lot on different channels and it doesn't get addressed. So I like that, Rhino. They're at a crossroads, man. The Kings are at a stop sign. Are they going left, right? Are they going forward? Are they turning back around? I don't know. Sabonis looked like he was unclear about his minutes. I don't like that. Lack of communication. I think a coach and a star players, there should never be that, right? You should know where you stand at all times. Darren, DeMar, Keegan, Malik. So that's concerning. Mike Brown made a statement, I think, after the first Lakers loss, guys, not playing basic basketball, something along those lines. And that's concerning as well. And so, Isn't it funny how you talk about the net rating right now, and they're still 4 games under 500, and
Yeah.
their offense really isn't that bad by the numbers, but the eye test, kind of tells a different story. They're getting off to bad starts these last couple of games. You insert Monk, you think that would fix that issue? Other than Boston, I mean, can you name me a better starting five? I don't think I can. So that's concerning. There's too much of I don't know going on right now, right? Too many guys unaware of what's not
Way
going
too
on, what should be going on. Mike Brown is a veteran coach, so I don't know how the communication is going behind the scenes, but concerning. And so you asked the question, is this rock bottom? I'm gonna say no, because there's still 50 plus games left. And if I look at that loss column out west, it's not the worst thing. You go
Right.
on a 5-game rule, a 5-2 record, you can go from 12 to 6 possibly.
Right.
Here's the bad thing. Did you see that schedule coming up that
Oh,
they
it's
got?
brutal.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh
a
my
murderer's
God.
row, dude.
Woo. So I'll assess it after then, Rhino. I'll assess it then after
So
then.
so here's what Mr. Moss is talking about. You've got one more in Detroit's not a cupcake. They just beat Phoenix. They put up
Right.
133 points. You've got Detroit the day after Christmas. Then you back in LA for the Lakers on the 28th. The 30th, you've got Dallas here in Sacramento. Then you've got the Sixers here in town. You've got Memphis. You're at Golden State. You're home against Miami. You're at Boston. You're at Chicago. You're at Milwaukee. And then you're back home. Back home. By the way, one day off between Milwaukee and back home for Houston, your team.
Mm-hmm. Brutal. I don't know what they're going to do on that stretch of games. I mean, it doesn't look good. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to have a winning record coming back from that. I mean, or after that stretch. I mean, the best they can do is try to break even, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
But
here's the thing. On the road this year, the
better.
Kings are, let's see, 7-6. They're
Mhm.
7-6 on the road, 6-11
Yeah.
at home. Maybe they hit a little bit of a run. I don't know.
There's something about being on the road with your friends and teammates and just us against the world mentality. I mean, it's very interesting to see. I saw this team in Memphis, and I like to see guys, their body language before a game, timeouts, because you're on the road, right? It's just the fans, it's the team, and you see how guys chit chat and just the camaraderie that they have with each other. Um, so I guess the road does bring you closer. My thing
Yep.
is, shooters don't shoot it the best on the road. They tend to shoot it better at home, but for the Kings, it's been the total opposite. So
Yep.
we'll see. Let me close with this last statement. You think Mike Brown's lost the team? And if so, Rudy Fernandez, Nets head coach, assistant coach last year, lead assistant. I watched him closely last year. Very in tune, Ryan. Very hands-on, very communicative on that sideline. At times, you thought he was a coach, the way he would stand up, walk to the scores table, bark out orders. I'm not going to say bark out, but just, communicate. You know what I'm saying? I like to watch the bench from that standpoint this season when I'm at the games. Who's that guy doing that? And it doesn't remind me of last year. I thought Rudy had a handle. Sometimes your head coach, Rhino, he coaches. I mean, we get it. You're the head coach, but the front lines, right? The guys you stay late, come early. Your assistant coaches, shooting drills, guys like that. Players tend to, express themselves more with them. They tend to, let the cat out the bag and be a
Right.
little bit more maybe communicative with those guys. It's kind of like being at
Absolutely
work.
right.
Compared to your soup and your league, they go talk to the lead first and supervisor, and then your leagues tell your soups. But you think he's lost the team? Do you think Mike Brown?
So really quick about Coach Brown, he's been staying later after
Mhm.
games than he has during his entire tenure
Mhm.
here in Sacramento. I don't know if he's lost the team, but I'm going to counter your question with a question. I don't know if Mike Brown really ever had the team this year.
Ooh.
Because I look at what they did in the preseason. They didn't win a single game, and the 3-point percentage was completely low. It was awful. And we're like, oh, okay, they'll break out of it. It was just a bad trend. And then at, excuse me, the end of the preseason, Coach Brown comes out and says, well, if you want to blame anybody for that, blame me, because I handcuffed the guys. I told them they could only run this one set.
Mm-hmm.
And this, and for those that don't, basketball preseason is not the same as NFL preseason.
Mm-hmm.
It's much different. You're going to play more minutes. And yes, you don't want to put everything out there, but that's your time to kind of get right. And especially when you're working in a new piece like DeMar DeRozan. And then you move into the season. And how long, Mr. Moss, did we hear from Coach Brown? I'm not comfortable with my rotation yet. I don't know what my rotation's going to be. It's going to take me some time to figure it out, right? And now as this thing's continued to kind of come off the hinges and start to head towards the edge of the cliff, we hear somehow, some way. It's a signature line from Coach Brown now. Somehow, some way. And I don't like hearing somehow, some way from a head coach, because to me that equates to we need a miracle. Because somehow, some way, it's not like giving different answers. It's not saying, well, we might be able to do this, we might be able to do that. I feel like there's an aspect of it's them versus us with the players and the coaches. Maybe not so much with the development coaches, but maybe more so with Coach Brown. And I'm not saying it's toxic and he's lost them, but I don't know that guys feel like they are being utilized properly. I don't know, because Coach, how many times, Moss, has he said after the games also, it's the details. It's the details. We put the details on the TV. We had a great shoot around. We went over them. And then in the game, they don't get executed. So there's some type of disconnect. And here's one thing that I'll go back to. Jordy Fernandez was very, very important to this team. Extremely important. Jordy handled the defense. Jordy also helped out with a lot of the rotations, a ton of them. And I don't know how much this team misses Jordy. And I also don't know if maybe Coach Brown is delegating a little too much. It's pure speculation, but I don't know. Maybe Coach needs to take more of the reins. When the Kings don't perform well and they have very bad games, it's not uncommon for Coach Brown to take the shoot around over before the next game instead of letting the players and the assistants run it. So I don't know. It's hard to say. What would you say to that if I say I don't know that Coach has had the team this year?
It's I think you pose the right question. I think it's a valid question. It's a question that that most Kings fans probably hate the fact that they have to even acknowledge the question and answer the question, because you would think Mike Brown, the veteran coach, there's certain tactics, there's certain things that he's just done throughout his career to manage egos, manage personalities to where it doesn't even get to this point. He's been around too long to let that question even be a question by us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like they're a veteran team. I'm sorry, that's the dogs. Amanda, I'm all right, Rhino. Give me like 2 minutes.
Okay, I was just gonna say, can I put Buster in here?
Yeah.
Okay, Buster, come on.
Sorry.
Buster, get in there.
Yeah, that's Buster and Moss, and we got a new black doodle yesterday.
You got another doodle? Holy
yeah, all black one. Yeah. So this is a veteran team, Rhino. DeMar's a veteran. I mean, these guys know how to play basketball. And I think the biggest thing when we say he never even have the team, I think that's more so to the other guys. I don't think he doesn't have Darren, the veteran guys or the guys like that. But sometimes those 6 through 8 guys, 5 through 8 guys can really turn the tide, right? So I don't think he's ever had Keon Ellis. I don't think he's had Kevin Huerter. I think those two players have been, their minutes have been inconsistent. Kevin's been hurt, obviously, but yeah. So the question's valid. I don't even know how to even answer that question. And Mike Brown's been around too long to even let that even sink in. And the fact that he didn't get this under control in preseason, I mean, he's been around some pretty good coaching trees, right? I mean, Steve
Damn
Kerr,
right.
Greg Pop,
Greg Pop.
and so he should know how to operate in that position, right? He's a leader of men first before anything. And so when you're losing teams or possibly losing a team, and we're speculating, of course, nobody's came out and said anything other than that. I'll go, then the dogs are going to start barking. But I don't know, Rhino. It's a tough question to answer, man. I'm going to say I'm right there with you. I can't give you a definite yes or no if he's ever had the team, but I can assume that certain guys don't know their role. And if I don't know my role, then you ain't got me. And so
It's
I'll just
so
leave it right there.
important. It's
Yeah.
so important to basketball. Moss, thanks for the call, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, be well. It's so important to basketball. And that's why when we were talking about the post-game press conference yesterday, if you missed the pregame show or the post-game press conference 2 games ago with De'Aaron Fox, that was a loaded presser to me. There were a lot of things that I felt like were challenging the coach, borderline calling him out. If you read between the lines, Grant felt the same. And you look at Domas's comments after the game, and I'm not saying Domas is throwing coach under the bus. I'm not saying that those two have a disconnect. I have no reason to believe that. But what I am saying is that is a big surprise to me to hear Domas Sabonis say, yes, I was surprised I played 31 plus minutes, whatever it was. It's a big surprise for 2 reasons. Usually you're in lockstep, especially if somebody's injured or playing hurt, on what they should or can play. Now, ultimately, that's going to be up to the player's pain tolerance and the trainer to say, can he play? Can he not? Will he get more injured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But even if that's the case, and that was fumbled, for Domas to answer that question in the media, that was surprising to me. And back to De'Aaron, there were 3 or 4 examples where not only he challenged Coach Brown, in my opinion, but he called out his teammates as well. So there's a lot of valid questions. We've got a ton of calls on the line, so we're going to keep going to them. Jose, my man, let's get something really clear. You're from LA, so we must dislike you.
It's a complete crap.
No. We don't dislike you. Welcome to the show. Happy you are here. We have people here from all over the world, which is really cool. Serbia, Italy, Brazil, Fiji, Australia. So welcome to the party, pal. Welcome to the party. Sam, thanks for the show. Hey, appreciate you being here, Sam. Thank you. I've settled that I'm down for a rebuild. I think the point that I want to get across is the Kings, like, if you want to use an analogy, this is a game of pinball right now between the left side and the right side. And whether you're able to hit that ball back into the machine and make it a recalibration rather than a rebuild versus that ball getting past the left side and the right side that you click together and going down and game over where it is a rebuild, it's incredibly fragile. That's where I think it's at right now. So I don't think a full-out rebuild is necessary, but it could happen very easily and very quickly, depending on how this thing turns. We're going to keep going to the phones. Matt is next. What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
How you doing today?
Good, man. I just wanted to congratulate you and Grant on all your success the past year. I think this whole thing you got with the restream going on is super unique because honestly, like I watch a lot of YouTube and NBA shows. I've never seen anybody integrate callers into an internet show like this. I think you should be really proud. And it's not possible without all the great callers.
Amen.
Shout out to the callers. Shout out Haunted Horse. So I just want to say that.
Oh, don't go too far. I'm just kidding. You there, Matt? I think we lost.
You still got me? You still got me?
I just got you back. I said
Okay.
Don't go too far when you said Haunted Horse, and I was joking around, and that's where you fell off.
So you're talking about discussing who the leader on the team is, and personally, I think it's Sabonis. And what stood out to me is the other game against the Lakers when, it was it's kind of unfortunate that he got that technical foul, but when he got that T towards the end of the game, when he was, yelling at his own teammate, and then the ref thought it was directed at the ref. I like seeing that passion from him. I'm just not seeing a lot of passion coming from this team. Um, Personally, the three guys I would really want to keep on this team are him, Monk, and um, Keon. Keon Ellis.
Okay.
I feel like those guys have a lot of heart. Um, just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think those are really three great pieces for three different reasons. Malik Monk is the closest thing that this team has right now or has had in the last 3 years to a true point guard. Keon Ellis brings the hustle. Currently, he's your best 3-point shooter. And in this environment, in the new CBA and the luxury tax and the salary cap, he is on an extremely friendly contract. So win-win there. Domas, yeah, I think without Domas, where's the heart night in, night out on this team? Whether it's going good or going bad for them, it doesn't matter. Domas brings it. And the same could be said about Keegan Murray on the defensive end of the court as well. Regardless of what's happening on offense, that dude has showed this year he can guard at times 1 through 5. Now, the hang up with Domas that I've talked about, and I talked about this today with somebody that's close to the team. It's Domas is one of those niche players. There's only a couple of them in the league. You've got Jokic, and Domas is no Jokic, but he's close. He's the closest thing. And then you've got Şengün. But when you have players like that, you have to build around them. You can't bring them in usually and integrate them as easily because in Domas's case, he's undersized. Now, he makes up for it more than double with his heart, but then you look at the salary, and that's where you really hit the wall with whether you could trade Domas or not without taking a significant haircut on his value because this year he's making 40.5, next year 43.6, the year after that 46.7, and then in 27-28 49.9 with the new CBA and the aprons, you can only have like one or two of those guys on your team unless it's somebody that you have re-signed because they were your own free agent. And because Domas is a different player, he's a little bit of a unicorn. He's in that small group. I just don't see a team taking on that type of money and taking on I don't want to say the risk, but the task of making sure that Domas is in the right environment for him to thrive and make your team better.
Absolutely fair. And I was thinking about it, and I was also researching a little bit. I saw a lot of websites across the internet ranking Sabonis in like the top 10 best value contracts in the league. And I feel like also Keon could arguably be in that camp too. So I'm almost wondering like how we haven't taken advantage of that to build this roster. And is it really to do with like overpaying for DeMar and just Vivek not going into the luxury tax, or why do you think we haven't been able to take advantage of those good contracts to build a better roster?
It's a really good question. I know Dave, Carmichael Dave, someone I greatly respect in this market. He's put a few things out there about, Vivek maybe opening up the checkbook a little more. I think COVID changed things a lot for a lot of organizations. There's a lot of lost money there. In terms of capitalizing on a Keon, capitalizing on the guys on smaller contracts, yeah, you do. And the way you capitalize on that is you bring in better talent around them because you have extra money to work with. Now, what the Kings did this year with their money was kind of interesting when you look at the trade where we got Sasha off the books, and the going rate to get him off the books was Davion Mitchell and a second round pick. And the second round pick has kind of been the par for the league if you're trying to dump salary and get under the salary cap. But what happens is because that put the Kings under the cap, they then became eligible to get a share of the salary tax that the other teams that are over pay. It's a prorated share for every team that's under. So that earned the Kings about, give or take, $12 million on that transaction, where I think the Kings, and this falls on Monty McNair mostly, have faltered is when they have had money to play with or opportunities to maybe take a little bit of a risk and maybe spend just a tad bit more, or give up just a little too much. They haven't taken those. And the Western Conference, the fringes is how teams have greatly improved. The Lakers in 2022-23, they were below the Kings at the All-Star break in the trade deadline. They get D'Angelo Russell, they get Hachimura for a very, what I thought, reasonable price. They end up in the Western Conference Finals that year. The Mavericks last year give up a first-round pick. They get a couple of players. Guess where they end up? The NBA Finals. The Kings have failed to, in my opinion, really work around the fringes and incrementally improve this roster as they've gone along. Monty's either hit a home run or he struck out. There's been nothing in between, and it's caught up to this team to where now, I said it about 10, 15 games ago, this bench is closer to a G League bench than it actually is an NBA bench.
Totally. And I just want to circle back to the leadership point, and then one more quick point. I'll get off.
Yeah.
But I think Keon is he's really young, but I see him soon stepping up as a leader. But I just feel like he's in the situation like when you join a new company or something, you don't want to. You're the new guy. You don't want to be giving your ideas. You don't want to be. But it's almost like he has to grow up fast, so to speak, because nobody else is sort of stepping up into that leadership role, and I think people on the team would appreciate that from him.
Yeah, look, it's really hard. I'm not in that locker room. It's a sacred place for those guys. A lot of times the coaches aren't in that locker room, but I do know it's hard to step up as a leader if you don't know what your role is on the team. Mike Brown decided to not play Keon Ellis last night. And his answer for that, we're going to hear in just a few minutes, was there wasn't, the minutes aren't there. I decided to try something new and go with Doug and Trey. And Doug played 18 minutes, and bless his heart, I thought he made one of the hustle plays of the year, diving on the floor when he was beat to get a basketball, and it turned into a fast break. But you had guards running circles around him last night on the switches, and Keon Ellis was what kept the Kings in the Nuggets game. Keon Ellis is what kept the Kings in the Lakers game to a degree on the defensive end. And hell, throw Colby Jones in there too. Mike has given Colby these small spurts over the last, give or take, 10 games to where Colby actually performed really well on the last road trip defensively in Memphis. And then he comes in and has the game of his life defensively, doesn't score a point, but still was a positive in the plus minus column for the game against Denver. And he hasn't seen the court since in meaningful minutes. So look, I think that's true of other players besides Keon. I would say you only have a handful of guys on this team. You have more guys that don't know what their role is than guys that do. So, hey, Matt, thanks for the call and happy holidays and Merry Christmas, buddy. Appreciate your support and kind words.
Same to you too. And I saw you a long time ago. I saw you put up the bodybuilding stuff on the screen. That made my day. I'll call back about that when there's less King stuff going on. I'll call back about that. Okay.
Matt, that was I kept it in our system for, I don't know, probably 2 weeks. I'm like, is he gonna call back? Is he gonna get up in here? So good job, man. Thanks, Matt.
I'll call back soon. All right.
Appreciate
Merry Christmas.
You. Merry Christmas. I want to say this really quick about Matt and what he said about our system and the way that we run the show and opening it up to you. We don't do that. And I know Matt touched on this. If it's not because of you, and I put the tweet out last night that you guys are the best and most knowledgeable fans in the NBA. Period. End of story. Your loyalty to Grant, who many of you, most of you, my age, grew up with listening to, is incredible. And the fact that you've given me a chance, thank you for that. But we trust all of you that much that we open it up. You want some inside if you don't like that? Here's some inside if you don't like that. There's no screener on this show. You call a radio show? Hey, King's Court, what do you want to talk about? There's none of that here. We go to you. Now, I'm monitoring and filtering based off of little things that I know to look for if I think it's going to be an idiot or a legit call, and I'll make that decision. But we trust all of you. That's because of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We still got a couple phone calls to get to. John Jay coming to you in a second. I know the Kings have been a massive disappointment and a complete mess the last 4 games. One thing that I can promise you is not a mess and is consistent as can be. It's Bennett's. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Check out all 3 of their locations here in the greater Sacramento area. The West Side Grill in Rockland, the Blue Oaks Town Center, the newest of the 3 locations. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. And it's not just seafood and steak. They have incredible sandwiches, salads. Love the steak Cobb salad. One of my favorites. Special soups of the day, homemade, depending on the location, baked goods. Also, you can have Bennett's cater your party. You can rent out one of their private dining rooms at all 3 locations and let them do the work, whether it's in the restaurant or at your home. They will take care of it. You can put in your orders to go at Bennett'sRestaurants.com now, and their specials. They've got something going nearly every day. Tonight, it's Monday, Wine and Dine Monday. Get a bottle of wine and 2 entrees for under $70. Also, happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Check it out. There's Sips and Tastes. And unlike the Kings, Bennett is not all words and no action. Just check this out.
I don't know about you, but if you're thinking about having a holiday party or a party of any kind, and you don't ask us to make our house smoked salmon, to grill our prime New York steak, to grill long stem artichokes, to make ahi pokey. What are you talking about? You're going to have a party and you're not going to call Bennett's and have them take care of you? My goodness gracious. Give us a call. We can make this for Easter. We can make it for Christmas. We can make it for anybody's.
Hungry? Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. And Brian, the staff, everybody at Bennett's, thank you, Margot, so much for your sponsorship and your friendship and your support of this channel. And thank all of you who have gone to Bennett's and given them positive feedback, given us positive feedback. We so appreciate it. That is Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Go check it out. Let's go, John. You're next after Jay. Jay, what's up, dude?
What's going on?
What's up, man? Are you like in a Snuggie or something right now?
No, I'm just in a hoodie.
Oh, okay.
So I've heard, the rumors how the Kings are interested in a few forwards. The Kings are interested in a few forwards, and one of those being Cam Johnson. And then I've also heard the opposite, that the Kings are just kind of playing, their cards with what they have, and they're just going to continue to wait. And, given the circumstances now, I want to get your opinion on that. Do you think the Kings are willing to just sit and wait, or do you believe that they're willing to take a gamble on a guy like Cam Johnson? Their thought process might be Cam Johnson is not going to make us a championship team. However, I don't think that's what Fox is saying. I think Fox wants a shot to be competitive each year. There's no definitive championship team. Right now, the Celtics. You could guess after that. It really doesn't matter. You could point at a few different teams, but you don't know definitively that who's going to win a championship and who's not. So, what do you think the Kings' thought process is on that? And do you think that they are going to stand pat and just kind of wait and see how this plays out, or do you think that they're actually looking to make a move?
I think that they would be extremely, extremely dumb to make a move right now and bring a player in with the way this team is fractured and disconnected right now. It would be one of the worst moves you could do for many reasons. You're bringing somebody in, you don't know how much time is left on their contract, number one. So if the organization's a mess, you're going to bring them into that. You think they're going to want to stay if this continues going the way it is? And quite frankly, at this point, and we've kind of had this conversation, I don't think there's a player out. I mean, a available player or a player that could be available that would turn this team around to where it needs to be. The problems internally need to be addressed before you make any moves. Now, that might include making a move. So if that alleviates the problem, then that's a different story. But thinking that trading for somebody right now that's going to make this better, I don't see it, Jay.
So that the best thing to do would be to stand pat then and kind of just play this out. Okay, well then what message does that send to De'Aaron Fox?
Look, I don't know what message it sends to De'Aaron. Clearly, there's appears, I should say, I shouldn't say clearly. There definitely appears to be miscommunications between his camp and the Kings. Excuse me. To the point where Rich Paul, you brought it up, is sitting courtside and asking for a meeting with Monty and Wes Wilcox while the Kings are on a bad stretch. He drops this podcast with Draymond Green while the Kings are on a bad stretch, in which he had some strong stuff to say. I mean, listen to what he said really quick about the organization.
I love the city. Like I love being here. I've raised my family here. Yeah. We got our grandparent there, or the kids' grandparents here. Like I would love to be here and retire here. Play. I mean, how many people can say they played in one organization for their whole career? Like I want to be a part of that select few people. But at the end of the day, I also want to win. So
you gotta win. Especially where you at.
That's where you make your real money.
You want the elite. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You want that window. You want that chance, man. And you know, I think you got to put yourself in the best situation at all times, especially when you're in the prime of your career.
I'm coming up on those years. So
yeah,
they know I'm gonna give all I got. But at the end of the day, brother, the organization also got to give all they got. So like that's where we are right now.
It's a pretty strong statement, and it's debatable whether Fox has given all he has right now.
Yeah, but okay. So the podcast drops last week. Rich Paul meets this week, right? It happens in the same week. So I mean, it's pretty clear what message his campaign is sending to the Kings. This is two full months. Well, about a month and a half ish before the trade deadline. So Fox wants to see a change. He knows that this team can't. I mean, like you said, the bench is a G League bench. There's, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think, do you risk losing De'Aaron Fox? I mean, you can say Fox isn't a 1A or whatnot, and I'm not disagreeing necessarily to that. But I guess that leads you to kind of wonder what you do if he does request a trade, let's say. And a lot of people talk about the Spurs and the Rockets.
Yeah.
But one team in particular, like I think the Kings would be fine in the long run if they did trade De'Aaron Fox. But there's a team in particular, and I want to see if you can guess this team. So if you had to compare another point guard in the NBA right now who is the most similar to De'Aaron Fox, who would it be?
The most similar to De'Aaron Fox?
Fast. I believe the guy's left-handed. Great two-way defender. Not the best three-point shooter.
I would probably say SGA.
No, we're not getting SGA for
You're
De'Aaron
saying
Fox.
Brunson. I think that they couldn't be any more
Nope.
different. Okay,
Not,
who is it?
not DeJounte Murray.
I don't know if I think those two are the same.
Not same, but
I gotta think
I would
about
say
it.
they're similar. I would say Fox is a better guy right now in the league, but I don't think DeJounte Murray's too far from it. I mean, they're both not A-tier guys, faces of the league guys. They're both very fast. I think they're pretty similar. I think when watching the recent Pelicans game, I think DJ matched up fairly well against Fox. I think he gave Fox some problems defensively. Long story short, it also happens to be that a lot of people think Fox is from Houston. He's not from Houston. He was raised in Houston. He's from New Orleans, exactly. So you get where I'm going with this, right? You got Ingram over there. You got DeJounte Murray over there, and they suck this year. And they have a first-round pick this year. So if I'm the Kings, I'm looking at a stopgap with what we have, which I think DeJounte Murray could replicate what Fox does on this team with this roster right now, with the talent we have with DeMar, Monk, and Sabonis and Keegan still.
Yeah.
I really like how this year's first-round pick is looking for them, especially chances are we're probably not going to have our first-round pick this year. And you might even be able to throw an Ingram in there and use him as a rental. You get a guy who's, in my opinion, not very much worse than De'Aaron Fox, and you also get a talented wing as a rental and potentially a long-term signing. DeJounte Murray's also $30 million a year under contract for the next 3 years. So he kind of fits the timeline of DeRozan, Sabonis, and these guys that we have. So what do you think about that? I think that sounds a lot better than the Spurs and a lot better than the Houston Rockets.
I mean, yeah, it definitely could work. I mean, New Orleans is trying to go in a more fast, defensive-oriented, physical direction. I mean, even with all of their guys out, they were probably one of the most physical teams the Kings played this year. You got huge question marks around what they're going to do with Zion, whether or not he'll be on the market.
He's touchable.
Here's my bottom excuse me. Here's my bottom line on Fox. This is my take and my take alone. I've been saying this for a while. I said it as early as last season. What more can you do around De'Aaron Fox in a small market? What more can you do? You drafted Halliburton. Fox threw a little bit of a hissy fit over that. You trade Halliburton, you turn that into Sabonis. You draft a big forward in Keegan Murray, who could hopefully guard 1 through 5, which he's been able to do. You know, his offense has regressed. And I'm only talking the latter years of Fox here.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to say you could at least give him a fair chance.
So, okay, but did SGA have a fair chance around him? Did Trae Young have a fair chance around him? Those guys single-handedly made their teams, they took their teams places and they made those places destinations that other guys wanted to go. So I would say that Fox had some of the same opportunities they had. Now, some of them are in bigger markets, but I guess at some point, as much as all of us see Fox as the face of the franchise, as much as we like him as a person, I love De'Aaron Fox. I think he's great. Fastest guy I've ever seen with a basketball. I think he is extremely talented in that, right? What I'm saying is we are looking in all the wrong places to fix this problem because everything we have done to work around De'Aaron has not worked. And I'm not calling De'Aaron a problem. What I'm saying the problem is this team with De'Aaron Fox as the number one, no matter what you put around him, is not going to be good enough to take the next step because De'Aaron's really good. He can get his. He'll have his big nights, his 60-point night, his 49-point night. He'll have his nights where against the Lakers and losing, I believe it was 33. The problem is De'Aaron gets his, but it doesn't elevate the other guys around him. It stalls the ball movement. He does not utilize his teammates. He is closer to a Russell Westbrook and a James Harden than he is an SGA, a Jalen Brunson, even a Trae Young to a degree. This De'Aaron Fox era has been fine. It's been what it is, but the absolute worst thing the Kings could do is bend over backwards right now
and accommodate him.
And accommodate him even further with no guarantee that this guy's going to stay, no guarantee that he won't request a trade. Why would we believe that anything's going to be different if they go bring in Cam Johnson or somebody else after De'Aaron Fox wanted DeMar DeRozan? He's part of the recruiting visit.
Right.
DeMar DeRozan was one of those guys Fox really looked up to, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to learn from DeMar DeRozan. No, it's all the same stuff. And damn it, I got to be honest with everybody here. DeMar DeRozan, his entire career has been a chameleon. He fits everywhere. But for whatever reason, he doesn't fit here in Sacramento. Time has ran its course on the De'Aaron Fox era. It's time to trade him. And it's time to get something in return that sets you up both now and in the future, because if you trade him sooner rather than later, this becomes much more of a recalibration than a rebuild. You go out and you trade for Cam Johnson, Jay, and you give up Keegan Murray, and that doesn't work too, and De'Aaron then requests a trade, or De'Aaron plays his contract out and doesn't re-sign, or you trade him at the trade deadline before his contract extends and his value is relatively low because he's a rental, you have now lost De'Aaron Fox for nothing, and you have traded away pieces that could be part of a future here in Sacramento. There is a role for Keegan Murray in every single team in the NBA. Keegan Murray is a top 3 or 4 player just defensively at his position. If the Kings were halfway better than they are right now, if the Kings were in contention between 1 and 5 in the Western Conference, Keegan Murray would be considered for all defensive team. You have Rick Carlisle, who's saying Keegan Murray is going to be an all-star at one time. He will. Just wait. Dude is special defensively. Period. End of story. You've done everything you can for De'Aaron. It's time to part ways before you mortgage the future and really turn this thing into a rebuild and blow it up again.
Well, I look at it like so they say the asking price right now for Cam is 2 firsts. Obviously, you'd have to match salary with like Kevin Huerter and Kobe Jones. You would have a trade exception, which would make up about $5 to $6 million that he makes. So you wouldn't have to give up like Lyles and Huerter for him, but you would have to come up out of those 2 first-round picks, or possibly a young piece that they may like a Devin Carter or Keon Ellis instead of Kobe Jones, and you might be able to get away with 1 first-round pick. But let's say it's just a Kevin Huerter and 2 firsts and Kobe Jones or something. I think if it doesn't work and Fox does request a trade, I mean, you can recoup those assets from that De'Aaron Fox trade. So I look at it like, why not? You know what I mean? Rather than trying to be proactive. At some point, scared money doesn't make any money. You're going to have to pull the trigger on something.
I get it, Jay, but look, De'Aaron is making this organization has catered a ton to De'Aaron.
As they should, because this organization doesn't have much leverage when you look at the other organizations and the value that he could bring to those.
Okay, but not as a number 1. That's the thing. You put De'Aaron Fox alongside Jalen Brunson. You put De'Aaron Fox alongside a legitimate number 1.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I told you he's not a.
It just doesn't work. He's not the number 1, and until we realize that and come to that realization, you're just going to keep handing more power over to him. And to me, if people want to talk about DeRozan stunting Keegan Murray's growth, you want to talk about Kevin Huerter not getting the same looks, et cetera, certainly coaching has to do with that. You have to adjust more. You've got to adjust more. But at the same time, you have a guy that only serves himself. And I mean that in the most respectful way ever. The games where he has 10, 11, 12 assists are the exception to the rule. They're not the rule. He's not making his teammates better. And you've tried everything around him. There's as much as you can try in a small market. So I get it. It's a good conversation. Jay, Merry Christmas. I got to get out soon because Grant's going to be here at 4:00. I love everything you bring to the show. Appreciate you a lot, buddy.
All right. And I encourage you to think about that New Orleans trade. I kind of like that one a lot. I think you can extract a lot of value out of that one.
I'll do some homework on it for sure.
Well, I didn't find it online. I just
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'll do some homework on it. So appreciate you, brother. All right, John, welcome in to the conversation, buddy. How are you? Did John freeze? Look, John Finch waits this long to get on the show before Christmas and he freezes? Johnny, no. Finchy. You there, Finchy? No audio. I can't hear you, Finchy. Try to get your audio set back up and we will reset. I also want to get to the chat. Don't forget, everybody, just in a little over 30 minutes, which means we've got about 10, 15 minutes left in the show. I see some people asking in the chat, where is Grant? He'll be right here at 4:00, open forum, taking your questions, getting his takes on what's going on here in Sacktown, and wishing you a Merry Christmas as well. Again, I believe these will be our last shows before Christmas. So appreciate all of you that are here with us today. Want to keep getting to as much chat as I can. We've only listened to 2 sound bites. We haven't even heard from Mike Brown yet. I don't think we've got time for it. So we will keep playing the hot hand. Let's go to John. We'll take the phone calls up until the end of the show if we keep getting them. John, welcome in. Is your audio right?
I think so. Can you hear me?
I got you, buddy. What's up, Finchy?
Okay, man. Well, hey, first off, Merry Christmas to everybody and all the new guys. And this includes everybody, Sal, Dennis, I can't even say everybody's name, Moss, everybody, absolutely everybody. It's a great season, but man, this season for the Kings, it has been just roller coaster ride, like we've been saying. Now, Ryan, last night I noticed, and hey, the way I see it last night, when Coach Brown took everybody out with 5 minutes or so to go, that was BS, man, because in 1 minute, 10 points can happen in 1 minute in this game. For him to give up, the way I saw it last night, Brown gave up last night with 5 minutes to go, sitting everybody down. And then Fox is sitting next to Doug, I believe it was. The rest of the team was down the bench, and they were kind of talking amongst themselves. Fox was not even a part of the team last night during that situation. And I saw the other guys kind of talking amongst themselves and looking at the game. I saw Fox kind of looking at the game, crouched down, looking up, looking around a little bit here and there, but he was not a part of the team. And hey, listen, him doing that podcast with Draymond Green, anybody could read between the lines, and him being all buddy and saying, oh, bro. Well, hey, De'Aaron, this ain't your fucking bro. This is Draymond Green. He's an asshole to everybody in the freaking league, man. The only people that go on his podcast just want to see themselves on it.
Is there
or something like that? I don't get it.
Besides Buddy Hield, is there a bigger heel in Sacramento than Draymond? I don't think there is.
No, I don't think so. DeMarcus Cousins was here for a while, so a lot of us would put his name in there because I thought he was the biggest fucking heel. But it's BS, man. Fox, it just appears that he does not want to be here. And for Brown to quit on his team, 5 minutes to go, that's BS, man. It almost is like he wants out. He doesn't know what to do. And hey, he's supposed to be a leader of men, he is a much better assistant coach than he is a head coach, a leader of men, an X's and O's guy. Jordy Fernandez, when he was here, he would bring things up, right on camera in front, and you could see the coach looking at him and agreeing and trying some of that stuff. Fernandez seems to be more in tune with the players than Coach Brown is. And, I don't know if that's age or I don't know. It's just the style that he's learned with over the years. Also, I mean, playing for Kerr, being a coach for Kerr, when they have, they have lasers. They got Steph, they had Clay. Not every team in the league has those things. And that's why Steve Kerr, he made his team like that because, hey, Steve played a lot like that, but Steve also played the triangle. He played a lot of different methods of play. Where Coach Brown, it's like every time anybody gets into the paint, he wants to spray it. It used to just be called a fucking kick out. Just kick it out to somebody who's open. If there's nobody, if you can't get the 2-ball and there's somebody wide open, kick that out. But if you got a 2-ball, get in there and get fouled and make it. Or like Domas, he'll get in there, he'll miss a 2-footer, come up with a rebound, and then make a 1-footer. At least he stays with it. But so many times recently, I see guys get into the paint and then kick it out. That's fun and all, and it'll work for maybe 5% of the teams in the league that have elite shooting like that. But that's really not realistic. Look at the Celtics, for example. Like Jay said, they're the one team, I think it was Jay that said one team that they are finals caliber. And look, they don't exclusively shoot 3 balls. They play decent defense. Smart plays great defense. And they take what's available is what they do. And that's what this team needs to do. We need to take what's available, not try and make these guys into something they're not. And that's what makes me think the disconnect comes with the coach because, hey, Fox, I know Fox is fast, but like Grant said yesterday, how fast is he? How long is he going to be that fast? He's not getting faster. I don't know how many damn times, Ryan, and you had to have seen it too, where he might be quick, but he's walking it across the freaking half court line, with 6 seconds came off and then have to go a little quicker to beat the 8 seconds getting across the line. That is not his style of play. It makes me think that he's kind of out too. And I know that's a lot to say in one sentence, but that was a hell of a run-on sentence, Ryan. Tell me what you think. I'm passionate.
Yeah, no, I love the passion. First off, I don't think Coach Brown quit yesterday. I think he had no choice but to pull those guys out because they had given up. You can't leave those guys.
Well, hey, if that's the case, Ryan, he gave up on them. Pulling them out with 5 minutes to go. You know what can happen in 5 minutes? Anything could happen in 1 minute. How many times have you seen 2 3-balls and a 2-ball? Bam, that's 8 points. And then you get to the line. There's a couple more. That's 10 points. It could have been a 10-point game with 4 minutes to go. Instead, it's a 23-point game.
John, I'll say this. We've seen crazier things in the NBA. Now, I think people are flawed when you look at this, and I'm not saying De'Aaron thinks his game's perfect, but I'm fairly certain, especially with the way Coach Brown called out De'Aaron a few days back, and I mean straight up called him out in the media, that the Kings feel there is still a lot of room for improvement. His side of the house isn't exactly clean. So I feel there's a stalemate between the franchise and him, and body language. Yeah, I mean, what else do you have to look at? And if you want to talk about a perfect plan or the best coaching that maybe Mike Brown has done with De'Aaron Fox, and I'm being sarcastic here, is we're lying to ourselves if we're not acknowledging that De'Aaron Fox is pulling a page out of the Mike Brown playbook right now. This last offseason, Mike Brown's agent went to the media and said, well, I don't think the Kings think that Coach is worth this much money and they're not going to extend him. What did Sacramento do? Pushed back. You got to extend Mike Brown. You got to extend him. And I know Grant's on the record saying it shouldn't have happened. I feel like De'Aaron's playing the exact same game right now with the organization. Now, the difference here is the sample size.
Now, the same game with the organization, the same head game, or the same style of play, Ryan?
No, the same head game to get his
Yeah. Okay.
way.
Okay.
He's doing exactly what Coach Brown did by going on the podcast. He's putting pressure on the organization publicly to
Yep.
get what he wants. The difference is it's coming directly out of De'Aaron's mouth as opposed to Coach Brown's agent. So he's doing exactly what Coach Brown did. And I go back to this. I put this out. For those that think I am just an idiot that opened up a microphone and started talking about this situation, I have been covering this dating back to last year. In fact, the article that came out with The Athletic where De'Aaron finally sat down in October and gave them this exact quote, that's June, y'all. June 24th. In part because he wants to see how the Sacramento roster develops. So I truly believe when De'Aaron Fox says that he's good on money, yeah, he's going to get as much money as he wants, but money is not the priority. It's winning. And I truly believe that De'Aaron Fox wants to be in Sacramento and wants to win here. But I don't believe De'Aaron Fox sees himself in the correct light. I think De'Aaron sees him in the same light as Steph Curry, in the same light as SGA, as Trae Young. He's got his own signature shoe now. This all has been brand new. And he is none of those guys. He is an amazing player, but he ain't them. It takes somebody else to get De'Aaron started. It doesn't take anybody else for those guys to get started. They have turned franchises around. De'Aaron has not done that with Sacramento. They made the playoffs 1.25 years after Sabonis came here. So it's just, we need to look. This franchise would be idiotic to mortgage the future for De'Aaron Fox when you have already tried about as much as you can as a small market to put things in place for him. John, I love you, brother. One more word? Go ahead.
Hey, bro. Ryan, I got to agree 100% what you just said about Fox, man. He thinks he's more than he really is. And I know that he wants to win. I know he's got his hundreds of millions of dollars. He's going to be fine in that aspect and stuff. His family isn't going to struggle for generations and generations. And I believe that he wants to win, but I believe that he's going about this, doing this podcast and all this shit. He thinks he's better than he is in his own brand of shoes and all that. Hey, congratulations. Everybody wants their own brand of shoes and stuff. And wanting to win is one thing, but sometimes just the way he portrays himself on the court, I see him dogging it a lot of times where the last thing he should be doing is dogging it. He needs to be sprinting. But hey, Ryan, keep up the freaking great work. You and Grant. And that was, I believe, Jose came asking what kind of show is this? Well, it's a basketball show now, Jose, but this show goes 24/7, 365. Sometimes it's a cooking show. Hey, I shaved this freaking beard was down to here, and I shaved it to nothing on this show. This show goes in a lot of different ways. It's a ton of fun, Ryan. You're doing an ass-kicking job, man. Keep up the great work, buddy. Merry Christmas to you, the wife, Liam, and everybody in the chat. Everyone. Thank you again, buddy.
You as well. You and Ash.
Hey, thanks
everybody,
for letting
Merry
me
Christmas,
vent.
buddy. Dude,
thanks for letting me vent, Ryan. Thanks for letting us all vent. Ryan used to do, or pardon me, Grant did that for 25 years, would take calls on his show, of mine, yours, Guru, everybody, and let us get over it, man. Great work, Ryan.
I'm here for it. Thanks, Johnny. John Finch, the one and only. Special guy right there. Special guy. I was covering the Stockton Kings playoff game last year, and I had an extra pass. And I had John come along, and it was the funniest thing because everybody, and I mean everybody, knew John Finch. Sharif Abdul-Rahim knew John Finch. Media members knew John Finch. It was so funny. I loved it. It was a great night. Good job by John. And good job by everybody here. Look, there's no right answer to this. everybody has their own opinion. I'm forming my opinions based off of my knowledge, based off of my conversations with people that I trust that are close to this team and close to members of this team. One thing that I do know is this fan base is going to be fine. And I see things like if Fox gets traded, it's not going to have sellouts anymore. G1C won't sell tickets. Nobody's going to go to games. Go back and look up the sellout streak at Arco Arena when this team sucked. But guess what? They had personalities that were all different. They knew their roles. They hustled. Sacramento will show up and show out for anybody in a Kings uniform that is giving it all that they have, night in and night out, win or lose. However, Sacramento will turn very quickly when you have performances like we did yesterday. When you start trying things in the media, Sacramento will turn. I started this show by saying there is no right answer. There's no right answer to fix this thing right now with the Kings. And that's not just my take. That's after talking with people in the know. People I respect that have been around the game for as many years as I have been born or I've been on this earth. That's the consensus. There's no right answer. What I do know is the pieces are good. I hope they can get back on the same page. And as Grant said yesterday, you deserve better. Grant's going to be here in 20 minutes. In fact, I would be remiss if I don't end the show at least with a Ricky Henderson moment. Ricky Henderson passed away at the age of 65 on Friday in Oakland last night on the pregame show. And I'm going to cut this short because I think this was on the postgame show. Last night, Grant shared an absolute incredible story about Ricky Henderson. I want you to listen to a portion of it. It blew my mind and it had me rolling all at the same time. Here was Grant last night on the postgame show talking about one of his interactions with Ricky Henderson.
In front of us. And I will tell you to this day, it's one of the most unexpected, enjoyable moments that I've had in my career was standing behind the backstop in the middle of the Yankees-A's game, having a long conversation with Ricky Henderson, completely off the record, just two guys shooting the breeze. And he had genuine interest in me and the Kings, and he started asking me some questions about the Kings and the NBA. It was fascinating. So that's my memory of Ricky Henderson. I loved being around him. I loved his passion for the game. And Ricky always talked in the third person. So when you interviewed Ricky Henderson in his accent, you go, well, Ricky Henderson need to be doing this. Ricky Henderson need to be doing that. You'd have to not laugh while you were interviewing him because he didn't say, I need to do this or we need. No, Ricky Henderson,
Yeah.
Will Clark shared a funny story about being on first base when Will was playing first base. And he said Ricky was the most enjoyable guy to be around. And Will talked about him playing the third person. And then he was telling Will, Ricky gone. Will go, you going to steal? Ricky gone. Ricky gone. And Ricky stole second base. And he got the second and he looks at Will. I told you Ricky Henderson gone. I told you Ricky gone. Will said that he would be playing first base, trying not to laugh as he was talking with Ricky Henderson.
Such a great story. Incredible story. God rest his soul. Ricky Henderson, dead at the age of 65. If you take anything from this, take this. Fox hasn't done anything wrong. Up until about a week ago, I think he has not handled things particularly well between comments on the podcast and his post-game comments after the first Lakers game. But besides that, Fox has done nothing wrong. He's done what I think is the best that he can do. He has been a model citizen for this community. He's been a stand-up guy, an advocate, made his home in Sacramento. He's done nothing wrong. What I'm saying is if you want that championship, I do not believe you can win it with De'Aaron Fox. That is what I am saying. He's done nothing wrong. I just don't think you can win a championship with De'Aaron Fox. He's not a number one. He's number two. And unfortunately, in Sacramento, the number ones, they ain't walking through that door. You got to draft them and get them to stay. And by the time the Kings do that, the window for Fox is going to be on the downside. That's what I am trying to get across with the things that I said today. Most importantly, I want to take a moment. I want to thank each and every one of you, whether it's your first time here on the King's Court, whether you are here every single day. Something I take pride in is seeing if there's one more download each day, one more viewer each day. And there is. So thank you to each of you. It means the world to me. It is a pleasure. It is an honor. It is not lost on me that I am sitting here on Grant Napier's channel, having a platform to interact with all of you. And without him, without you, without my family, none of that is possible. So to my lovely wife, Jennifer, I love you with all my heart. Bubba's, Liam, who has his segment on this show. He doesn't actually come on. We record his picks for the NFL. I love you, Bubs. Keep doing your Pokemon. You don't have to watch Kings with Daddy. All good. We can go chase Pikachu on Pokemon Go. To my parents, Mike and Lorene, my brother Nick, my sister-in-law Sierra, my mother-in-law Maria. I love all you guys. Thank you for being the solid, the foundation, the rocks in my life. And I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, Christmas, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, Festivus, doesn't matter. I hope you have a wonderful one. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't wait to be back with all of you on Thursday. We run it back, but more than that, before we get to it, Grant, he's here in 15 minutes. Come back and support him. He will be taking you the rest of the way today. Thank you again for all the support. I appreciate you so much. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a big thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. If you want to do something for us this holiday season, tell one person about the platform. Tell one person that may not know that Grant's back, that the King's Court is here. Let them know about it. It would mean the world to us because we do this for all of you. We want to get to as many of you as we can in this fan base. So make it a great one. As I always say, I hope the Kings soon can.
Woo! Come on! We're streaking! Come on! Come on! We're running! Come on! We're streaking!
Let's hope the Kings can go streaking soon. Turn this thing around.
Disgust me. How can you live with yourself? Just cool it, Zippy. You sit on a throne of lies.
You will sit on a throne of lies. If you bring in Zach LaVine, don't do that. That would be a bad look. So go Kings. Light the damn beam. Stay the hell away from LaVine. Have a amazing Christmas holiday. Thank you all so very much. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. We are out. Court is dismissed.